Videocast number 46, Working with a Camping Stove. Camping stoves are generally cheap and reliable pieces of equipment, but they can be tricky to use. One of the first problems with using one of these stoves, especially with less experienced scouts, is they do not take the time to heat up their pots. You see this a lot when cooking things like pancakes on a chilly morning. When you start out, the stove is cold. You are cold, the pans are cold, so the scout takes some cold batter and drops it on the cold stove and then just stares at it. As the attention span of some younger scouts is not high, after a minute they flip over the pancake, making a smeary mess on the griddle, the spatula, and by the time the equipment is actually ready to use, they're working through a mess. By waiting for the stove to heat up before adding any butter or cooking spray, you have a much better chance of making a good meal. Flame control for those stoves is important. Depending on how finicky your stove is, you may actually need to adjust the flame as you go. Waiting to heat up the equipment, however, solves a lot of these problems. Now, the stove using a camping griddle has two basic areas: the area under the flame and the center area that does not get as hot. I specifically mention a camping griddle as these tend to be lighter weight and do not distribute the heat as well as, say, an expensive, heavier cast iron griddle. You can, however, use this to your advantage. Once you make your pancakes, they need to come off of the heat, otherwise you're going to burn them. But instead of taking them off, you can form a stack in the center area of the grill. This actually does two things. One, it keeps the food warm, and two, it discourages from starting a pancake in the center where it really won't cook well. So I'm out at Shift Scout Reservation. I'm going to make some pancakes. Right now the stove is cold, so I'm going to light the stove. And I'm going to control the heat. You saw I dropped the match right in the basin. So I'm going to take my camp griddle and I'm going to put it out on top. And as I mentioned, there's going to be a couple of areas on here that are going to be getting hot. The area right here and the area right here. Now we're going to do most of our cooking on this because this is a type of griddle that really doesn't allow you to put anything because of the grates. So I'm going to make a few pancakes. I'm going to make a 3 by 3 set of pancakes, just to show you how quickly it cooks. You can see from here how that the ones that on the right are really cooking well. The ones over here, this is where the heat is stored. Those are just about ready to be turned. Whereas the ones in the middle have barely begun to cook. I also show this technique to scouts when making other items like grilled cheese or scrambled eggs. Especially when it's cold out. By the time you finish cooking, part of your food would otherwise be cold. You can also put a small metal plate or some other tin foil in the center area to make it easier to move the completed food. But this is what works for us. Take what you like, leave the rest, and as we say in Woodbadge, feedback is a gift. Leave yours below in the comments with all the hope we can learn together. I'm Scoutmaster Dave, and this was Working with a Camp Stove.